we're going to get into a debate now about rough sleeping. Rough sleepers could be fined thousands of pounds or even jailed under new plans to criminalise homelessness.
Yes, the Prime Minister is facing widespread backlash over the proposal, including from his own backbenchers.
So is criminalising homelessness a step too far? Is it a new low or a necessary step to protect us and our streets? Joining us now, the founder of Do Something for Nothing, Joshua Coombes, and YouTuber and social commentator Pearl Davis. Pearl, you're worried about this, aren't you?
Yeah, you know, I've seen some of the effects of homelessness in the UK, and what you have now is you have children playing on a playground, and next to them are homeless people that are addicted to drugs. So I think that something has to be done to combat this problem. You know, and I think there's different ways that they could go about it, but I could see why this would be a good first step.
Well, I'd say what might be a better first step to fund a camp or to fund housing, temporary housing or accommodation or something to actually help these people instead of penalising them. Pearl, what would you say?
Yeah, well, I think the problem you're going to get is the more you reward, you know, the more you incentivize people to be homeless, the more you're going to see that happen. You know, I've seen that happen in cities like Los Angeles, where, you know, we're getting to the point where people are moving to Los Angeles to be homeless. And, it completely ruins the cities.
Joshua, let's bring you in at this point. Is it a choice to be homeless? Is it something you can criminalise?
No, I think, obviously I understand the topic of this debate. Very happy to be here and speak about it from my perspective. I think, perhaps a better topic would be, should it be, held accountable, the 1,300 people who died living on the street in the UK in 2022 alone. I've been to Los Angeles a lot myself. I do a lot of work in different countries and different cities. I think only a compassionate approach is going to help people. When you're talking about addiction, Pearl, I hear you. Of course, we don't want to be stepping out onto needles and people using in this way, but obviously when someone would prefer oblivion to reality and somebody's in that much of a desperate place, it tells you they're not in a good place in their life. What we need there is not more shame piled on. Criminalizing somebody is just going to further isolate them. It's going to further isolate people who already feel a great deal of shame. Obviously, some people can feel really downtrodden and very lonely and very isolated already. If you criminalize this issue, it's only going to further these people, remove them further from what they need, which is more connection and more care in their life.
Pearl, that sounds like a good argument. Why would you not agree with him?
Well, I guess, what incentive would they have to stop if we keep incentivizing the behavior?
Incentivizing is a really interesting word. Like I personally, I don't see the incentive where anybody would want to choose to live, especially.
They'll tell you on camera. There's clips on camera of people in Los Angeles going viral of literally moving there to be homeless because of the incentive structures there.
I think there's always going to be dramatic people in different places. I'm not saying for 1 second there might be a few people, but it certainly is not the majority. I've been doing this work for many, many years. I speak to people who are just like you and I, just like all four of us speaking on this program now. And, to every person watching this, waking up, having your breakfast in the UK now, I'd love to think about all of you who know somebody who might have lost somebody, know somebody who might be struggling somewhere, know somebody who...
Not everybody's like you, Joshua. I'd just like to tell people about the work that you do.
Thank you.
And you get up close and personal with these guys. Tell me how, one of the ways in which you help the homeless.
Yeah, so I go out and I give haircuts. It's a small thing. It's not going to completely fix somebody's problems in their life, but it's a vehicle to go out and show up for somebody. And I see amazing people doing similar things. I work with grassroots organizations in different cities across the world who are using their skills, their time. I founded a movement called Do Something for Nothing. It's about being able to, in the ways that you can as an individual, go out and recognize that there's a human being in front of you. Yes, there's a lot of things that precede that from the outside. I'm not saying for 1 minute it's not scary. Drugs, alcohol, some of the behaviors and the things that, you really see on the outside, of course, they can be difficult to deal with sometimes, but underneath there's somebody's daughter, son, mother, father. There's people who are humans who, when you get beneath those layers and you have those conversations, which I do on a regular basis, a lot of people who are hurting, a lot of people who haven't had a chance to heal, some of the wounds that they might have experienced. And, you know, any way you vote, I just want to say, anybody watching this, we all know what it's like to struggle and need other people. And this isn't just some fluffy, compassionate approach. It's about really recognizing as humans, we are much more than just our status, which political motives and the way we vote. I really believe that our community isn't just our nuclear family and our home. It's about reaching out to people who, yeah, you might be seeing outside of that train station on the way to work, who might be in a difficult position. You might not be able to do everything for that person, but I'm telling you what, when you build trust and you get to know that person by name, maybe you can only smile and give them a few quid here and there, but that might be that little bit of hope in somebody's life. It's the difference between them, you know, not wanting to be here anymore. It really is like that. It's life or death for some people. So criminalizing, further dehumanizing people, that really can push people over the edge. It's not a good way to go. It feels like we're progressing, you know.
So instead of criminalising it, how would you suggest we begin to solve the issue of homelessness? You talk about a compassionate approach, but how do you think that could actually be done practically?
Well, of course, it takes purse strings opening more for this from budgets. You know, I mean, it's promised like it's a really amazing thing. There's $2 billion now kind of dedicated to solve this. There's 10 times that spent on defense and arms for this country. If we really care about our society, yeah, it has to start with much more will financially, with resources to provide shelter for people. But to be honest, I've seen sometimes what shelter looks like, and yes, it's amazing to have these options, but we have to think about the care that goes with that, because you can give somebody the keys to an apartment in an ideal world, which, let's be honest, in the middle of a cost of living crisis isn't the case. But imagine in an imaginary world, you could give somebody the keys to an apartment. It's not that simple.
Even if you give them keys to rehab, even if you give them keys to rehab, most people don't overcome it. Like, that's just, it's statistically they don't. And I know I've had family members like go to rehab, but most people do not overcome addiction.
Why do you think that is, bro? Just out of interest.
Well, because addiction, it's a tough problem to solve, like you said. But I think that you have to protect the people in a society, you know, and it's not fair to tax-paying citizens that we go out and you see, you know, crackheads sleeping on a bench outside an apartment where kids.
Pearl, we were asking Joshua for his solution. Do you have a solution to this, or is it unsolvable?
I think you need to start by stop incentivizing the behavior. So I think you got to limit, you know, because if you pay people to make poor decisions, they're just going to keep making poor decisions. And you know, in places like LA, you know, I've seen the result of, you know, them paying people to do the wrong thing. You're going to see them doing it more.
Okay. Yeah, I think, to be honest, if we're looking at actually trying to tackle certain issues, to look at the most vulnerable people, yes, this is a difficult issue. I'm not saying for 1 minute it's not very complex, but you know what? There's enough resources, and if we can together as a society get creative solutions. My solution for sure would be, yeah, we have to start from scratch again and say, right now, this is not working. What can we do to provide people with more than they're getting right now? Yes,
I hope something's done. Folks, thank you both very, very much indeed. Joshua and Pearl, if you've got a view, GB News.
Love each other.
Thank you very much. Love each other. GB, what are we? GB Views?
GBViews@gbnews.com.
Get in touch. Thank you both very much indeed.